has over 10,000 members and allies, including male allies, in over 80 countries, 43 of which have national women judges associations that are affiliated to the international organization. The National Association of Women Judges in Uganda, as you have heard, is one such organization. The IAWJ has structured its membership into 5 regions, Africa region being one of them. Honorable Justice Mandisa Maya, Deputy Chief Justice of South Africa, and myself are the directors representing the Africa region in this international association. Honorable Justice Binta Nyako from Nigeria is the president-elect who will take over from Justice Suzanne Blesbrook next year. IAWJ has a vision of a world where gender equality, respect for human rights, and inclusive justice system are the norm. In order to realize this vision, IAWJ supports and empowers its global network of women judges and the Women Judges National Associations to advance gender equality and human rights. Some of the activities that IAWJ has engaged in includes training of its members and other judicial officers in international and domestic law relating to gender-based violence. I'm sure Ugandan judges and Kenyan judges will remember the jurisprudence of equality program that was very instrumental in helping judges in this jurisdiction appreciate the use of international instruments in matters gender. One of the pertinent questions that the International Association has interrogated is, do we need judges? And if so, do we need women judges associations in our countries? The International Association of Women Judges has answered both questions with an emphatic yes. The need for social justice and the acknowledgement that violence and discrimination against women in our society is a vice that needs to be eradicated cannot be overemphasized. This challenge has engaged many nations, resulting in domestic and international laws. Those of us who are in the justice system know that the solution of enacting legislation has not borne much fruits, as such cases are on the increase and access to justice for many women and girls is still a mirage. It is this concern that has led to women judges coming in to supplement the efforts already in place. Women judges have the special attribute of being able to identify with and understand the problems of litigants because the women judges have lived the experiences that women and girls go through, and this gives them an edge in delivering quality justice. Women judges bring to the table the diversity that may be a game changer by ensuring that courts are representative of the society, and in so doing, helping our society to appreciate the need for equality and inclusivity. The presence of women judges in the judiciary provide assurance that the judiciary, as a key institution of governance, is a living reality of equality and fairness. It also brings hope of improved gender justice through judging with a gendered perspective. Women judges are also role models for young women and girls in the community. They bring hope and encouragement in the society. And therefore, the women who are in this position consider themselves privileged and compelled to give back to the society. This is where IAWJ and the National Women Judges Association come in to provide a structured channel through which women judges are able to give back to the community. Through the biennial, international, and the biennial regional conference, which are held alternately, the IAWJ and the national associations provide opportunity for women judges to come together to share experiences and best practice, and together support their respective judiciaries in the administration of justice by engaging in programs that promote access to justice and gender justice. Through the various programs, women judges interact with the people and, as it were, give the judiciary a human face. I want to end by quoting two profound statements that were made by the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg of the United States Supreme Court. She said, "Fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you." And the second statement, "The fight for gender equality will be won one step at a time." We in the IAWJ are passionate and believe in gender equality and care about access to justice for our sisters. Our problems in the Africa region are similar, and sharing of experiences and best practices is critical. We believe that we are addressing these problems in a way that will make you join us. And so, during this conference that we have this week, we are hoping that we shall be able to get good contributions from you and on how the barrier of gender equality can be surmounted. We are grateful to the Uganda government, the Uganda judiciary, and the National Association of Women Judges, NAWJU, for hosting this very important conference. The presence of His Excellency, the President, later today, is a clear indication of His Excellency's support for what we believe in, and we are truly thankful. I thank you all.
Thank you, and thank you so much, my Lord, the Honorable Lady Justice Hannah Okwengu. Let us give her a round of applause. I'm reliably informed His Excellency has arrived. And so to manage the next program, I am going to request for a music interlude as we manage the next set of the program. Thank you. Excellency, the Honorable Chief Justice of Uganda, the Honorable Chief Justice of Kenya, the Honorable Deputy Chief Justice of Uganda, the Honorable Minister of Justice, and the President of the National Association of Women Judges, Uganda. I request us to stand. His Excellency is making his way. Of the country. Let us remain standing. We'll have the national anthems. Thank you so much. I request us to take our seats. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, my Lord, the Honorable the Chief Justice of the Republic of Uganda, my Lord, the Honorable Chief Justice of Kenya, all of you distinguished participants in the protocol that was already observed, I take this opportunity to welcome you. Your Excellency, you're most welcome to the 17th International Association of Women Judges Africa Regional Conference, which is being held here at the Commonwealth Resort Hotel in Munyonyo. Your Excellency, my name is Sarah Langasiu. I'm the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary and the Director of this program. Upon advice, Your Excellency, we started our program, and we have received a couple of remarks, and we are going to proceed as we have been advised, Your Excellency, for that. Your Excellency, before we proceed to the next remarks, allow me to introduce to you the dignitaries present here, which I will do very quickly. Your Excellency, we have the Honorable Chief Justice of Uganda, the Honorable Justice Alphonse Chigamoy Owindolo. My Lord, you're welcome. Your Excellency, we have the Honorable Chief Justice of Kenya, the Honorable Lady Justice Martha Karambu Kome. My Lord, you're most welcome. Your Excellency, with us is the Honorable Deputy Chief Justice of Uganda, the Honorable Justice Richard Butera. Your Excellency, we also have the Honorable Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, the Honorable Norbert Mao. You're most welcome. Your Excellency, we have the Honorable Attorney General of Uganda, the Honorable Chiriwa Chiwanuka. We also have, Your Excellency, the Honorable the Principal Judge, the Honorable Justice Dr. Flavian Zeja. Your Excellency, we also have the President of the National Association of Women Judges, the Honorable Lady Justice Henrietta Wolayo. Your Excellency, we also have the Honorable Lady Justice Hannah Okwengu, who is the Director for the Eastern and Central Africa region. You're most welcome. My Lord, Your Excellency, we also have the Director General of the International Development Law Organization, Ms. Jan Bigo. You're most welcome. And we also have the Country Director of IDLO, who have been critical in funding this conference, Ms. Barbara Kelly. Your Excellency, we also have their lordships from across the African region, from the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, and the High Court. So I request all their lordships to please stand up for recognition across the regions. Those are the Lady Justices and Judges of Africa. Your Excellency, we've also been joined by their Excellencies, the Ambassadors and High Commissioners, and a couple of development partners. We have His Excellency Major General George Owinau, the High Commissioner of Kenya. You're most welcome. We also have from the Austrian Embassy, the Head of Mission, Dr. Roswith Kemza. You're most welcome. Your Excellency, we also have Dr. Katia, the Governance Advisor from the Austrian Embassy. Your Excellency, you will allow me to resume the recognitions after the next remark, which is coming from the representative of development partners, the head of office representative, that is Dr. Roswith Kemza. I welcome you to make your remarks. You're most welcome.
Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, the Honorable Chief Justice of Uganda, and the Honorable Chief Justice of Kenya, distinguished participants in the protocol established to to save time. Dear participants and representatives of the various justice, law, and order institutions, but most notably the judiciary. My name is Dr. Roswitha Kremser. I'm the Austrian representative to this most beautiful country and the head of the Austrian Embassy Development Cooperation Office in Kampala. It is a pleasure and honor to make these remarks today during the 17th IAWJ 2020 Africa Region Conference that aims to enhance peer learning and exchange to enable the female judges build synergies, enhance their skills, boost their motivations to change how gender cases are managed in courts. And I dare to say that it is actually an honor and pleasure to speak in this full tent, full of high-profile women from all corners of Africa. Austria is passionate about contributing to gender equality, empowering women and girls, and promoting just, peaceful, and inclusive societies, and therefore, being at this conference, which has exactly these as core topics, I'm honored to speak. For Austria, our commitment to this, I say, noble cause of promoting women's rights is enshrined in our highest law, notably Article 7 of the Austrian Constitution, that includes a commitment to gender equality and promote equality between women and men, in particularly by eliminating existing inequalities. This approach that Austria has taken is fully in line with the recently Access to Justice sub-program of Uganda that focuses on the observance of human rights and aims to improve adherence to the rule of law, improve corruption perception, increase case disposal rate, and also increase the percentage of districts with one-stop frontline jailers service points. I'm therefore exceptionally proud that Austria signed a new phase of sector budget support for the Access to Justice sub-program in December 2021, which underpins our commitment to the beautiful motto of Uganda's JLOS, that's the Justice, Law and Order sector, and this motto is access to justice, and it says access to justice for all. In Uganda, the fight for gender equality and women empowerment is also enshrined in the Constitution, and it prohibits gender discrimination generally and enshrines the principle of equality before the law, regardless of sex, race, color, ethnicity, tribe, religion, political belief, or social or economic standing. And I'm very sure that all those countries that are represented here have equally similar provisions, which are the basis for fair and equal access to justice. Ladies and gentlemen, I would certainly like to appreciate the great work that women judges are doing towards addressing human rights concerns and strengthening and promoting equal access to justice in Uganda and certainly Africa as a whole. But I always have to say that since my arrival in Uganda 3 years ago, and I've been on this beautiful continent almost 2 decades, but I arrived to Uganda 3 years ago, I have met some of the brightest, fearless, and fearless women rights defenders that I've met in my whole life. And I can actually say that some of them were men at very senior positions within government and within the judiciary, and I want to recognize them. Excellency, dear participants, I take this opportunity to particularly appreciate not only the presence of judges and magistrates, but also senior government officials at this conference, which once again confirms the government of Uganda's commitment towards promoting gender equality and adherence to the rule of law, specifically when it comes to access to justice for women and girls. As Your Excellency is gracing this occasion, this is an important sign from your side of adherence to those important principles that are the basis for access to justice for all. Let me kindly also thank our partners in the judiciary and the jail sector in the brilliant work that they are doing towards the institutionalization of a robust approach towards the fight against sexual and gender-based violence in Uganda. I'm personally very proud that Austria works side by side with Uganda in the organization of specialized SGBV court sessions and the institutionalization of a specialized court system for SGBV victims, and we do so jointly with the UN Family, UN Women, and UNFPA in particular. Excellency, Honorable Chief Justices, and participants, the past 3 years were certainly not what we call normal, and they were not easy for anybody of us. It affected every institution, including the judiciary. We have to also acknowledge that COVID-19 and other developmental challenges, such as the war in Ukraine, had seriously dampened all our economies and dramatically affected our personal lives. Uganda, in addition, faced other challenges, including a protracted electoral period, which witnessed some regrettable events, such as the one more than 2 years ago in November 2020, which we might also want to discuss in sincerity and honesty to bring what JLO's motto says, access to justice for all. Despite all these challenges, I have to say that from our perspective, the JLO sector and the judiciary did a remarkable job in addressing all hindrances and devising ways to keep the justice system going. We as Austria applauded the efforts done by the judiciary and JLOs in containing the virus and in ensuring the safety of us all, while also ensuring access to justice for all despite all the challenges. The pandemic did have a negative effect on the society, and notably the most vulnerable in our societies. We have seen young children, girls, boys, and also women. And the experts explained us that during the lockdowns, children were compelled to spend much more time at home with relatives, and sometimes, unfortunately, exactly those were the perpetrators of abuse. Sadly, that was true. And as the cases of SGBV and other forms of domestic violence saw an increase worldwide. Worse so, we have looked up the UBO statistics, and it says that very few girls and women that experience sexual or gender-based violence actually file an official complaint. It is only a dramatic 51% of the affected women and girls that have never sought help despite experiencing violence. They never told anybody they're at home, but they need the access to justice. Let me therefore say and stress that I remain grateful for the support by the judiciary to ensure that SGBV victims have access to justice. This support must not end at conferences. It must not end here. No, it has to go to the victims. Every individual gesture by a police officer, a judicial officer, an NGO employee, a human rights activist, a lawyer, any individual gesture to help an SGBV victim must be appreciated. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I'm convinced that this conference will contribute effectively to fight gender-based violence on this continent, and this is for the good of our sisters, of our daughters, of our mothers, our aunties. It is for the good of our grandmothers, and it is good for the entire Pearl of Africa in this continent. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Roswith. Your Excellency, attending this conference are 13 countries, 3 are online. Allow me to just inform you quickly, Your Excellency, we have Benin online, we have Ethiopia present, Ghana is present, Ireland is online, Kenya is present, Nigeria is present, South Africa is present, Tanzania is present, the United Kingdom is represented, the USA is represented, Zambia is online, and the Ugandans, we are full in the house. Your Excellency, we are going to have our next brief remarks, and just before that is done, allow me to recognize the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Lady Justice Jane Francis Abodo. Your Excellency, we also have the Vice President of the East African Court of Justice, the Lady Justice Sauda Jaziri. Your Excellency, we also have the President of the Law Society, Mr. Bernard Owundo. Thank you for coming. And representing the Ambassador of the Swedish Embassy is Ms. Charity Ahumuza. Your Excellency, next we have brief remarks from the Director General of the International Development Law Organization, who have been key in funding this conference, Ms. Jan Ipigo. You're most welcome.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Honourable Chief Justices, Honourable women judges of the region and our hosts, the Uganda chapter, distinguished members of the judiciary, Honourable ministers, members of diplomatic corps and development partners, all distinguished guests. It is a great pleasure to address this important gathering on behalf of the International Development Law Organization, IDLO. IDLO is the only global intergovernmental organization that is exclusively devoted to promoting the rule of law to advance peace and sustainable development, and we are proud to support this conference. I'd like to thank our hosts and partners for bringing together this impressive gathering of women judges from across the continent, and I'm honored to be in your company. And I'm particularly pleased to do so in a year when a fellow New Zealander, my friend Supreme Court Justice Susan Glazebrook, is the president of the International Association of Women Justices. We are meeting at a time when justice and human rights are under sustained pressure throughout the world. Over 5.1 billion people globally lack effective access to justice, and the poorest and most vulnerable members of society, including women and girls, are the hardest hit. And the most recent report on the Sustainable Development Goals highlighted that at the current rate of progress, it may take another 286 years to remove discriminatory laws and close gaps in legal protection for women and girls. So the association's mission to support and empower a global network of women judges to advance gender equality and human rights is critical to closing the justice gap. The ability of women to participate fully and equally in all aspects of public and private life is both an inalienable human right and a fundamental requirement of inclusive and participatory governance. And this is, of course, particularly important for the justice sector, which develops, enforces, and adjudicates laws and policies that govern broad aspects of political, economic, and social life. Ensuring that women have an active role, and I would say a leadership role, in shaping justice systems is key to strengthening people's confidence in the justice system's ability to work equally and impartially. Women's participation brings a diversity of experience that helps ground the administration of justice in lived reality and makes laws and institutions more responsive to the specific challenges faced by people everywhere. Women judges have made groundbreaking decisions that have transformed the way in which criminal justice has been administered, especially in cases involving rape, sexual violence, and forced marriage, among others. In Africa, women judges have played a critical role as custodians of equality in all aspects of life, including upholding women's rights in areas of matrimonial property and inheritance disputes. And we know that in traditional settings or in cases of assault or intimate partner violence, women seeking justice are often more comfortable dealing with other women as police officers, judges, lawyers, and court officials. And women judges in many cases are taking steps to ensure that the court environment is more accommodating for the full range of litigants, including, for example, trauma victims or disabled persons or nursing mothers. That is why it's not only unfortunate, but also unfair and an impediment to development that women's participation in the justice sector, particularly the judiciary, remains low. And while the number of women in the sector has increased, gender parity has not yet been achieved globally. Research conducted by IAWJ and others shows that serious barriers continue to impede the entry, retention, and advancement of women judges. These include stereotypes and prejudiced attitudes towards women, lack of transparency in recruitment and promotion processes, legal and social restrictions on women's mobility, and sexual harassment and lack of respect for women's authority. Dismantling these persistent barriers should be our joint priority. And for IAWJ, promoting women's leadership and participation in the delivery of justice is a critical part of our work. 10 years ago, in 2012, at the high-level political forum on the rule of law at national and international levels, IAWJ committed itself and its resources to ensure women's increased participation in the justice system. And our experience over these past 10 years shows that dismantling barriers to women's participation in the justice sector requires consistent, targeted, and ambitious action on multiple fronts. We have to harness political will for governments to make a conscious effort to improve women's participation in the justice sector, institute transparent and fair selection, nomination, and promotion processes, support women's judges and law networks at the national, regional, and international level, and strengthen gender expertise in the judiciary, and support judges who are responsive to gender concerns, and support the empowerment of women and girls. We are honored to be a long-standing partner of the International Association of Women Judges in promoting a much-needed focus on gender parity in the judiciary at the global, regional, and national levels. We are proud to work with the National Association of Women Judges in Uganda to strengthen capacity on gender-responsive adjudication and institutional resource mobilization and coordination. And last year, we were pleased to support the association in the development of the research report on the assessment of justice delivery for victims of defilement in Uganda. The report was launched by the Chief Justice and has been disseminated within the judiciary. In Kenya, we partnered with the International Association of Women Judges Kenya in conducting a gender audit of the judiciary. And last year, Chief Justice Martha Koome launched the judiciary's gender mainstreaming policy, which drew upon our collective work. This is part of her vision, her bold vision, I would say, to promote social transformation through access to justice. In Somalia, where IAWJ is promoting access to justice through alternative dispute resolution centers, we continue to champion the inclusion of women as adjudicators, counselors, and advisors. and these women are invaluable in supporting cases brought by women to the ADR centres. So although much has been done, we cannot afford to be complacent. One of the key challenges is the limited data available on women's participation in the justice system. There's an urgent need to support efforts to build a global system of consistent and accessible data, and that is part of our work. In conclusion, national associations of women judges have a key role to play in every country. We've heard today that there are now 43 such associations that have grown over the past 20 years. And since today, I have the honor to be in the company of His Excellency, the President, and His Lordship, the Chief Justice, I would like to respectfully request that the National Association and national associations everywhere receive the support and resources they need to contribute to the shared goal of access to justice for all. Excellencies, you have the power to achieve gender parity in the judiciary and to drive systemic change. In this, IAWJ is your proud partner. I wish all of us a successful conference. I look forward to the outcome of the discussions and to working with you to transform your deliberations into concrete actions that change the lives of people everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jan Bigo. You made this possible through the support of IDLO. A round of applause for her once again. Thank you, and thank you so much. Your Excellency, we are coming towards the climax of this opening ceremony. And just before the Honorable, the Chief Justice of Uganda comes, Your Excellency, with us is the High Commissioner of Tanzania to Uganda, His Excellency Ambassador Aziz Lima. You're most welcome. The country representative of UN Women, Ms. Pauline Chiwangu, is with us. You're most welcome. The Access to Justice Program Secretariat is represented by Ms. Rachel Odoi and Lucy Ladira. Your Excellency, with your permission, I now invite the Honorable, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Uganda. My Lord, you're most welcome. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, my Lord, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya, my Lord, the Deputy Chief Justice of the Republic of Uganda, the Honorable Minister of Justice of Uganda, the Learned Attorney General of the Republic of Uganda, my Lord, the Honorable Principal Judge, my Lords, Justices and Judges of our courts of IAWJ, my Lord, the Executive Director, International Association of Women Judges, my Lords, the members of the International Association of Women Judges across the different regions of the world, Your Excellencies, the ambassadors, high commissioners, and other members of the diplomatic corps, the Director General, International Development Law Organization, the country representative of the International Development Law Organization, Your Worship, the Chief Registrar, the Secretary to the Judiciary, the Worships, Registrars, and Magistrates present, the President, Uganda Law Society, and other distinguished members of the professional bar, members of civil society organizations present, distinguished officials in your various capacities, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, before you came, the President of the International Association of Women Judges, Uganda chapter, made a presentation in which she made a recognition which I affirm, hailing you for the tremendous work you've done in the pursuit of protection of women's rights and the realization of gender equality. Your Excellency, when one day historians put pen to paper to discuss your contribution as a Ugandan leader, I reckon your contribution to the women cause will be one of the paramount considerations. When they tear to pieces your pronouncement in 1986 that US will not be a change of guards but would be a fundamental change, among the handful of things that will be testimony to this is the tremendous contribution you made in the emancipation of the woman during your tenure in office. For my part, I want to hail you, I want to recognize your unwavering commitment to the judiciary of Uganda. I don't remember the last time I invited you for any judiciary function and you declined. To us, this means you recognize the importance of the judiciary in the scheme of national governance. I use this occasion, Your Excellency, to welcome my sister, Lady Justice Martha Koome, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya, for not only accepting to attend the conference, but also to deliver a keynote address on women in judicial leadership, breaking barriers and inspiring all. Your Excellency, Kenya is ahead of us. Kenya has a lady Chief Justice already. Yesterday when I was chatting with her, when she was boasting of this, I fired back and said, we had the first lady Vice President in the whole of Africa. And we have not stopped recognizing the importance of women as top leaders in our country. Your Excellency, let me say this. Except that, of course, the office of the Chief Justice is not vacant, as we all know. There is an impediment at the moment. I speak this with authority as head of the judiciary of Uganda. We have within the judiciary of Uganda a handful of Ugandan lady justices who are ready to take over the mantle of the leadership of the judiciary of Uganda. I say this with contentment, I say this with pride, I say this knowing that when my tenure in office is over, I should not be surprised if the next Chief Justice of Uganda were a woman. My Lord Chief Justice Martha, we hail you for your achievements as a female Chief Justice. And the most recent assignment you well executed, which has been followed by peace and stability, is testimony to that. It gives us a lot of enthusiasm to hear and learn from your esteemed accomplishments. We welcome you and your team for honoring our invitation. In a special way, I have the pleasure to welcome all the domestic and international guests who have braved the times and accepted to come and attend this important biennial event. We thank you heartily and welcome you to the Pearl of Uganda, Pearl of Africa rather. When you are here, please find time to prove Sir Winston Churchill right when he said Uganda is the Pearl of Africa. Now, as we all know, the judiciary does not use catapult. We do not use the weapons that mankind has known for fighting its wars, catapults, arrows, spears, guns, to ensure that peace prevails. Our weapon is adjudication of disputes, bringing harmony in society, ensuring peace and development takes place in the country. We are therefore called upon to break the bottlenecks to access to justice in our communities and let justice flow like a river. When you read Prophet Amos, chapter 5, verse 24, it talks about justice must flow like a river. In Jeremiah, chapter 22, verse 3, that's what the celebrated prophet has to say, open quote. This is what the Lord says: administer justice and righteousness, rescue the victim of robbery from the hand of his oppressor. Do no wrong or violence to the foreigner, the fatherless, or the widow. Close quote. Now, Your Excellency, this conference is very timely. Uganda is currently grappling with an upsurge, and I'm made to understand it is a global phenomenon, an upsurge of cases of gender-based violence and women and children trafficking. Because of our cultural setup, excuse me, eliciting evidence from women and children, especially relating to sexual matters, has been the worst go area for any prosecutor. A number of cases are cause listed and dismissed for want of prosecution, while a few others cannot be proved because the key witnesses are reluctant to open up and tell the court the unfortunate tale leading to the crime. We are hopeful that this conference will, among many other things, act as a forum to share views, experiences, and best practices on how we can best manage these justice needs in our land so that justice can flow like a river. The judiciary of Uganda is mandated by Article 126 of our Constitution to adjudicate cases of both a civil and criminal nature. This authority is derived from the people and must be exercised by the courts in the name of the people and in conformity with the law and with the values, norms, and aspirations of the people. This simply means that in administering and delivering justice, the judiciary must follow the law and be guided by the values, norms, and aspirations of the people as the Constitution commands. The values norms, and aspirations of the people vary greatly and are affected by the cultural and religious settings in which we are born and nurtured. It is for this reason that while the Constitution encourages the people to belong to, enjoy, practice, profess, maintain, and promote any culture, cultural institution, language, tradition, creed, or religion in community with others, the same Constitution prohibits any laws, cultures, customs, or traditions which are against the dignity, welfare, or interests of women, or which undermines their status. Your Excellency, this provision is found in the Constitution. It is also found in our Judicature Act. It is notoriously known as the clause that prohibits the application of customs and practices which are contrary to good conscience. The repugnancy clause. Any culture, any practice, and let me also say any law which is passed which would be repugnant and contrary to good conscience should be struck down by the Constitutional Court for offending our aspirations as provided for in the Constitution. I also recognize and appreciate the great work executed by the President, National Association of Women Judges, in bringing together the women judges in Uganda and in organizing and hosting the International Women Judges Conference in Uganda. I am pleased to note that every 2 years, the indomitable team of women judges do visit one of the member states and together share experiences on how to uplift justice in that jurisdiction and beyond. Uganda is privileged to host the 17th IAWJ conference and to spearhead the association for the next 2 years. I congratulate you, my Lord Henrietta Wolayo, and your team for this great milestone. Finally, Your Excellency, I heartily thank each one of you gathered here, our esteemed guests, for coming to Uganda to share with us your global experiences and best practices. I pray that the good Lord keeps you strong and safe, guarantees you a successful conference, and ensures that you enjoy your stay in the Pearl of Africa, and then eventually au revoir, for God and my country. Now, Your Excellency, I take this singular honor to invite you, President of the Republic of Uganda, to address your people. Thank you.
His Lordship, the Chief Justice of Uganda, Justice Owinjoro, our Lordship, our leadership, the Chief Justice of Kenya, Justice Martha Koome, the Deputy Chief Justice, the Principal Judge, the Minister, all the judges who are here, and the development partners. First of all, IAWJ. What IAWJ? IAWJ is the right call. They are allowed me. Recently, I was invited to Kenya to attend the swearing-in of His Excellency Arab Ruto. And because they think I'm a good man, one of the senior ones, they made me sit near the high table. And who sat next to me? 2 women. Very powerful. your seniors, boys who were with us and girls, who decided to become lawyers, and eventually many of them became judges, and some of them chief justices in East Africa, like Chief Justice Benjamin Orogi was one of those. You had in Tanzania, we had Ramadan. Ramadan became Jaji Mkuu Ramadan. He was with us in the university. In Kenya, we had the likes of Amos Wako and Lee Muthoga. These were our groups. So we were discussing these very topics. And I'm very lucky to come here to share with you. My contribution to this debate is to advise you that we talk of conservation of nature, of the national parks, we conserve. Kwa Kiswahili tunasema kuhifadhi, to conserve what is good. Now, I think one of the topics you need to deal with, and this we keep talking about it, but sometimes it's not very clear to others, because during those days of the students, we took different paths. There were some of the boys and girls who are taking what they were calling the professional line. I am a lawyer, I concentrate on the law. But for us, we are saying no, the law cannot be not in a context. The law must always be in a context. Many of the values the lawyers talk about, the modern lawyers, are really middle class values. Values of the middle class. If you go to Europe, where some of the partners come from, those values were not always values. At one time, they had the same sort of problems like you are talking about here. Women being marginalized, all those things you are talking about. They went through it. This is not an African problem. It is a problem of the human race. But what has happened in Europe in the last 600 years is that there has been socio-economic transformation. The society has changed. If you go to Europe, you go, because we studied all these issues, there's nothing we don't know. If, for instance, you go to 1400, what was the structure of the European society? You will find that they had the aristocrats, the feudalists, they had the peasants, the farmers, and they had the artisans, blacksmith, so on and so forth. But you come to 1789, during the time of the French Revolution, you find how the society has metamorphosed. I like to use that word. Social metamorphosis. Like the insect, that insect metamorphosis. It's the same organism, but it goes through different forms of life. It is an egg. The egg hatches and becomes a caterpillar. The caterpillar becomes a pupa, and then the pupa becomes a mature butterfly. We call that, in biology, metamorphosis. Similarly, society has been metamorphosing. So when you come to the time of the French Revolution, and that's why really you should take these subjects seriously, not just study and forget about them. Because they have got implications for whatever you are doing. So by the time of the French Revolution, that three-class society of Europe, the aristocrats, the peasants, and the artisans, has changed into a four-class society. You now have the aristocrats, the feudalists, you have the bourgeoisie. That's a French word, which those from France can help you with, meaning the middle class. This is a new class. It had never existed in human history. This was new, the middle class. What was the livelihood of the feudalists dependent on? It was dependent on obsuru, rent from land, taking rent from the peasants. But how about this new force, new group, the middle class, the bourgeoisie? What were their livelihood based on? It was based on profit, the concept of profit, the difference between the input cost and the final price, the profit. You have got a new structure of society which now depends on profit, not on rent, but on profit. And it's a dynamic group. Because of that, they were very dynamic, they were very active. Then the third class were the proletariat. Proletariat were the working class. In Europe, you had people, as Karl Marx said, who had nothing else to sell except their labor. They no longer had property. They no longer had what they could only sell their labor and be paid for it. And what were they dependent on? Wages, salaries, umsara. Then you still had the peasants. They were still there at that time. And what were the peasants living on? They were living on their sweat minus what the landlords took. So that was the structure of the society in Europe by the time of the French Revolution, more than 200 years ago. If you go to Europe today and you look for peasants, they are no longer there. You try and go there and say, I'm looking for peasants. They are not there. They have disappeared. Even the feudalists, the ones we call feudalists, are no longer really there. So what you have now in Europe is a two-class society. The middle class and the skilled working class. So my challenge to the African lawyers, and intellectuals is to ask you a question. Are you going to maintain a backward society, a pre-capitalist society, and then somehow you transplant the middle class values and you think they will stick? This is the challenge we should address. So I think it is not correct to go on just talking about, because this is what we call the base and the superstructure, the foundation of the house and the roof. You cannot have a pre-capitalist society, Karamojong running around stealing cows, Turkanas, all these characters, Pokot running around, and then you come and you preach them about these rights of this and that. Yes, you can try, but it will not. It is a problem. So therefore, it's correct. I don't know what the judge who spoke before I came said. It's a fact that here we have been pushing for human rights from our student days, not just now. We are the ones who recruited women in the army for the first time. We introduced positive favoritism. You remember when I added points on you people? 1.5 points for girls to go to university at the government sponsorship. Really discrimination, that's unconstitutional, but we did it. We are calling it affirmative action. So we have been doing all that. We were the first in Africa to introduce. I don't know whether there is a member of parliament here. The parliament now is very huge. I don't know how many there. How many constituencies do you have now? 300 and I don't know what. At one time, we had 214 constituencies for elections, but only 14 women had gone through the competition. So that's when we introduced a special seat for women per district. We did all this. But you can see still problems you are talking about. Even when the law says no, what do we call it, defilement. To deal sexually with a girl who is below 18, it is a defilement, and the punishment is death. It is in the Constitution, in the law. But as you are saying now, a woman is defiled and doesn't want to come out and report. So you can see what I'm saying. Transplanting a value onto an old structure. And if you want to go back to the Bible, you remember what Jesus said. Don't put new wine in old skins. Because the new wine is bubbling, it will break the skin. I didn't know that Jews were using skins for drinks. Skins here are used for tobacco and other dry things. Not for liquids. Liquids we use carabashes. You saw the carabashes. Their churches didn't have them here. The carabashes, they are the ones for liquids. But I think for them they were using skins. And Jesus said, if you put new wine, so this is the problem now. New wine in old skins. So therefore, all the intellectuals, forget not just the lawyers, we need a holistic understanding of this issue. We can do as much as we have done. Like for instance, when I appoint a vice president who is a woman, I am sending a signal to the girl, to everybody that girls, there is one of our tribes here called Bagwere. I don't know whether you know where they come from. They come from Parisa. I don't know whether there's any Mugwere here. When I had just come from the bush, I went there for a visit. And there was a woman leader who was moreover the deputy headmistress of Navamari at that time. She came with a women group dancing. Mukali muntu, mukali muntu, mukali muntu. Meaning that the woman is also a person. You can see the psychology as if it is in question. They were dancing, mukali muntu, mukali muntu. But I said, who said the woman was not a person, a human being? But they are trying to assert themselves because there is some idea that a woman is not really a full human being. And where does this idea come from? From the traditional society, from the old scheme, where you are trying to put new wine. Yes, we can try, but and we have tried. In fact, I liked her so much, I appointed her RDC. Until recently, when she was a bit tired, and then I gave her a pension. So, but the issue is, be clear that the symbolic and actions in the superstructure will remain challenging as long as the base is not changed. And what does the base mean? The base means we must phase out the peasantry and build a middle class, skilled working class like in Europe. That's what they have done. If you do that, it will be much easier to consolidate the gains of the women movement. But then, what Chief Justice Owinjidoro also told you right now comes in. And that's why we did an understanding with our people, our partners in the West. When here we are struggling to change the society, and we are passing through two ways. One way is universal education, everybody to go to school. This one is not well understood by the advocates, you people who advocate for women's rights. You don't support me. I'm always fighting alone. And the universal education to be fully implemented, I had introduced in 1997, almost a quarter century ago, free education. Banish school charges in schools so that the children study free in the government schools. But you hear some of the head teachers bring back the cost, then the school drop out, children drop out of school. Then, So, you, the movement of women, support free education. So that path of transformation through education is not interfered with. I'm struggling with the local parasites. These head teachers are local parasites. They look at children as a source of money. Instead of implementing our policy of free education, money. They always bring money. And then for us, we say, let the children study free. in government schools. And when they started free, the most beneficial will be girls. Because when the family is faced with the problem of money, when they have got to decide who should leave school and who should stay, then the girl is the one who drops out. So where is the woman movement in my war with the local parasites? Those local parasites, the head teacher is a parasite. There are small business people, some local traders, who have small businesses. They want to turn the school into a market, to sell kaunga, sell what to the school. Then they bring, you know, we must feed children. We must bring money for school feeding. The government is not asking for money, but these local parasites are bringing money now for school feeding. But if I don't have money, let my child not eat. You let him study. They expel the child. So that war, where are you? You, the women movement people. I'm asking them in war because they don't, in English it may not be clear. So, one path of changing society is universal free education for all children. Don't talk about the roof without talking about the foundation. The second route is through business. You know how you see, you people from other parts of the world, you don't know these Ugandans. You see them there, you don't know how complicated they are. Some of these people are spoiled by nature. Uganda is so nice. Even if you are a fool, you can survive here. In other parts of the world, if you are a fool, you die. And the matter is resolved. But here, people don't work. They just want to stay with I'm going to see my relatives. See them what? Are they sick or what? He just goes and stays eating free things. Then after 3 months, then he goes to see other people. They're always doing that. So we have been begging them, please, all of you. And then these economists, World Bank and that group, also come and add to the confusion. They talk of what they call subsistence economy. That there is economy where you are only working for the stomach. But if you work only for the stomach, for eating, how about the pocket? How about the pocket? How about your non-food needs? You cannot believe it. You tell these visitors, please, don't hide from them. Tell them the truth. That in 1969, when we had the census, only 4% of the people were in the money economy. Imagine that. Only 4% were in the money economy. The other 96% were in what they call non-monetary GDP. These are things that people outside Africa don't know, especially outside Uganda, because Uganda is where you can live doing nothing. Because the nature is so good. Then when we came into government, we started struggling, but the intellectuals don't take it up. The intellectuals who are with us in the universities, for them they go just in the small area, I'm a lawyer, open an office. They don't get the social economic context. So some of us who took on this battle, we go and fight it. Now, by 2013, you can imagine, 68% of the homesteads were still outside the money economy. 68% of the homesteads are not in the money economy. The ones in the money economy are only 32%. So that's when I had to involve the army. These people are witnesses, the judges here of Uganda. I had to involve the army. To persuade people to get out of poverty. They have land. You ask these Europeans whether any of them has got land at home. You ask them, do you have land at home? They don't have land. The ones who have land are very few. But here, even the most not so useful person has not land. They have land. 3 acres, so many acres, some even 10 acres, 100 acres. So we have been begging them, please, use the land for food security, but also for money making. And that's how I involved the army. Taking free seedlings, coffee, you take them to their homes, you plant coffee, please. We beg you. Now I hear that when that UBOS, the one you are talking about, when they checked recently, they found that 61% of the homesteads are now in the money economy for the first time in human history. 61% of the homesteads in Uganda are in the money economy. The ones outside, just sitting, just eating and sleeping, 39% still. So we have now launched that campaign, the recent one, of the partial development model, to get this 39% also in the money economy. Because that is the second route to change the woman. The first route is education, universal free education. Because an educated woman knows what to do. And it's not easy to deceive or to confuse or to misuse. But secondly, business, money, economy. Okay, we still have some tactical issues there. Like it is true that because of the other archaic, the old scheme, we still have problem of inheritance for the girls. The girls are not, according to the tribal, the girls are not supposed to inherit. It is the boys. Of course, me, I don't respect that. Me, my girls, they have their share. And of course, there were reasons also for that. There were reasons, but we don't have time to go into all that. So we can struggle with that. But once the concept of, because even the boy who was inherited is not engaged in money economy. Even the boy you say has inherited land, he's not involved in money economy. So, but once they all wake up and they are engaged in money economy, and then it only remains the problem of the girls accessing land. That is simple because we can use different tactics. We can rent land. We can do this. As we struggle with the culture of the old scheme, Now, when I heard that there were judges, women judges from East Africa, and now you say they are from Africa, I thought they were from East Africa. So I'm very lucky to be here with you. Apart from telling you about the old skin and the new wine, maybe I should also conclude by 3 points. when we separated with our colleagues, the lawyers, the boys and girls who are studying with us, we who took the line of freedom fighting took time to study about the socio-economic issues. And we identified 3 issues. Number 1, prosperity. How do societies build prosperity? And it ties, of course, with what we are discussing here. Can you ensure human rights and democratic rights? Because for us, we are very systematic. We distinguish human rights from democratic rights. I don't have time to go into that, but there are some fundamental human rights, but there are also democratic rights and so on. We have got our own culture of doing things. But the question is, without prosperity, with a pre-industrial, a pre-capitalist economic system, can you ensure prosperity of people and ensure the human rights of the people? Secondly, how can we guarantee strategic security in Africa? And thirdly, how about the fraternity of the African people? How do we use it to achieve prosperity and also strategic security? That's why we go back and say, what do you need as a family to create prosperity in your family? And our answer is, produce a good or a service and you sell it. In other words, learn what the French had learned more than 200 years ago. Because when the French had a revolution in 1779, there was already a class of the middle class, not only in France, but even in other countries of Europe. But France is a good example, because it was well captured in that revolution of 1789. So, if you learn the culture of producing a good banana bunch, a soap, whether it is produced by agriculture, whether produced by industry, it is a good. Or a service. Lawyers provide a service of okuwolereza nti n'ekizibu kyange jangu ompoleza omusango. So you are service providers, you people. So therefore, we, the freedom fighters, and our elders, the ones who are following, Mwalimu Nyerere, Mandela, those who are a bit older than us, what we are telling you was that when you produce a good or a service and you sell it, the more you sell, the more prosperous you will become. Produce a good, produce a service, sell it. And the more you sell, the more prosperous you will become. So what does this mean? It means market integration. You cannot say that you're East African lawyers, judges, what, and you don't understand and you don't care about the integration of East Africa, about the integration of Africa. Because then the question is, if you don't integrate, how will prosperity be created? Because you know very well that if you don't have enough market of what you produce, you will not expand. The other day at our independence, I asked you a question, I asked all of you a question, you the intellectuals. I said, are you determined to build a Latin America in Africa? Or a United States of Africa in Africa? I asked you that question. I have not had any answer. They have all kept quiet. Nobody has answered me. Nobody has said you are talking nonsense. Nobody has said you are talking sense. So I don't know what. I have not checked on the social media what they are saying. Latin America is a very rich part of the world. They have water, they have land, they have minerals, but they are very poor. You see them walking on foot, going to the United States. All those countries are very rich with natural resources, but they are badly organized politically and economically. And if you are a businessman in Nicaragua, in Honduras, in El Salvador, you can't succeed. The market is too small. So, what are the judges saying about prosperity? Secondly, strategic security. You see these problems, so-called security problems in Africa, these are simple problems. But to handle them in a fragmented way, they become big problems. Because each country is trying to handle. The terrorists are Pan-Africanists when the African actors are fragmented. So you hear the chaos in what do you call the place, Niger, in Mali, Burkina Faso, Chad, Somalia here, Ethiopia, Congo, so many places, problems, because the security of Africa is not handled in a Pan-Africanist way. What is simple becomes very big. Then finally is, but these people whom you are fragmenting, do you know that they are similar people or linked? Because the Africans are just 4 groups. You have what you call the Niger Congo. These are the Bantus and the Kwa group of southern Nigeria, southern Ghana. The Igbo. There is a woman, an Igbo woman. She was the finance minister. I think she's a big woman in the world. She was in the World Bank. Her name is Ngozi. So I asked her, what does your name mean? Her name means love. And you know, in one of the tribes in Uganda, the one from Fort Portal, what they call love. Do you have anybody from Fort Portal here? Somebody come and help me. I can see somebody putting up her hand. You come and help me. I'm tired of being the one to speak. You come and help me. The one who's putting up her hand there, you come with the microphone. What does Ngozi mean? Microphone is there. Ngambiri baraliawe okonyere najwa nokubaza.
My name is Monica Mugenyi, Your Excellency.
Monica Mugenyi, my Mugenyi?
Yes, Lord, my
Oh, very good. We have got some relationship somehow.
And the word Ngonzi means love.
Love, in Fort Portal. In Bunyoro, Toro Bunyoro. The name of the woman in southern Nigeria, Ngozi, is exactly what it means in Toro here. So you can't believe it. Now, these are the people, they are different tribes. What, you know, all these idiots who say they are leading you, they are your enemies. They just emphasize difference, instead of looking for commonalities. So the whole of that area up to South Africa, these are all one group, the Niger-Congo group of languages. That's why Mandela, if you ask Mandela, how do you greet? Sawubona. Do you have somebody from South Africa here? Yes. When somebody from South Africa, I know you are very big people, your lordships, please. Can you help me from South Africa? Come to the microphone. I know you are a very important person, but never mind. Jesus was humble, he came to earth. How do we greet in our, are you Zulu?
I'm Sotho speaking. Good day, Mr. President. My name is Audrey Mashoko.
But you know Zulu?
Yes, I speak all languages in South Africa.
Sawubona.
Sawubona, kunjani?
How do I answer?
Philile wena unjani?
Now, Sawubona is from the verb kubona.
Yes.
Kubona in their version of South Africa means to see.
Yes.
That's what it is, to see. Now here, in our language here, kubona, of course these are diaspora from here. They are all people who left here and went to South Africa.
Yes, sir.
Now, with them, kubona means to see. But when they were traveling, I think we were using the same word, but when they were traveling, we developed new words. And we shifted kubona to mean to see something. Let me disturb another big, but before you go, dumerera, that is Tswana, Sutu.
That's Sotho.
Dumerera, what does it mean?
What do you say?
What does dumerera mean?
Dumela is also a greeting word in Sotho. We have 3 groups of Sotho speaking.
Is it like,
yes, it is.
How did you sleep or what?
Orobetseya.
Or meaning what?
In Zulu ulele kanjani?
But dumerera, kulala, do you have kulala?
Yes.
What does kulala mean in Sutu?
It depends on the context that you want to put it across.
Which are the contexts? Kulala. Kulala means to spend the night or to sleep or what?
Orobala, it means to sleep. And I can say to you, orobale gabotse, which is spedi. In Zulu is ulale kahle.
Kulala
Ukulala,
is spend the night.
yes.
Now you can hear. Now this is 4,000 miles away, and we are speaking. In Zulu, what do they call a woman?
Umfazi.
Now you people. What are you saying? Siyabonga.
Siyabonga is thank you, re a leboga in Sotho.
Yes, so I'm thanking you in Zulu, Siyabonga, for helping me.
Ke a leboga ntate.
Thank you. Now I'm going to disturb a very powerful man, Bananga. I don't know how I will do it. This is the Deputy Chief Justice of Butera. Please come and help us with the microphone. Because you had our people there, the Zulus, the Mandela's group, the Kosa, they greet Sawubona. I have seen you. From the word kubona. So I have this, whether he can help me on. What is kubona in one of those?
Na kureba.
No, kubona
is to see. Or kureba.
Yeah, but see what?
Now, when If you, I have seen you.
Who can help with Tara? Do you have some? Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have some other Banyankere here? Okubona. Let me give you up. The Okubona means to see something lost. So in South Africa, they are now using Okubona to mean to see now, but why with us, it is to see something that was lost. Nakibona, I've seen it, but it was lost, I have found it. So therefore, my third point, number one is, how will you create prosperity? Number two, how will you create strategic security for your people? These Africans have suffered so much. They suffered under the slave trade, suffered under colonialism. They are now suffering under independent governments of Africa. How can that be? Now, therefore, my third question is, but why? So, to answer the other two, our answer is integration. Integration. Economic, and even in some cases political, if it is possible. But the third and final question is, by the way, the people we are talking about integrating, do you know that they are similar people or linked people who are very easy to integrate? And in our case, we even have Swahili, which is a non-tribal language, which is shared by the whole of much of East Africa. We are not like the Europeans. In the European Union, they are stuck. When they are in the European Union, what language do you speak? You speak German, you speak English, you what? For us, we can use Swahili. So therefore, I think it is all right to discuss about rights, but I think it is more correct to discuss the rights with discussing the foundation of the society, so that you can be able to have a new society, a new container for the new wine, not an old container for the new wine. Now, the speaker from the Austrian embassy raised the question of the confusion which was here on the 18th, 19th, 20th of November 2020, just as we were going for the election. Again, we go back to the superstructure and the foundation. The Uganda is, we have been able to build a state which is able to guarantee safety in Uganda, to maintain peace. This is not easy because we have to deal first of all with the resource base, have enough funds to support the system, the civil administration, but also the security side. That's why for us we don't call the UN to come and defend us here. We cannot call the UN that we can't defend ourselves, you come and defend us. We defend ourselves. We maintain internal security ourselves. We maintain the borders by ourselves, according to our means. But we have also been dealing with the culture. So therefore, as part of Giants, you need to understand that really the challenges which we have in the pre-capitalist societies. Remember, these are pre-capitalist societies. They are societies before traditional societies of Africa, which were based on different ideas. Part of our struggle is to build capacity. Capacity technical, but also cultural. You see, for instance, take the phenomenon of security personnel, policemen, soldiers, beating prisoners. It's a struggle. These are recruited, but they are recruited from the traditional society. They come to the army, to the police, but they come with traditional ideas, which you try to get rid of by talking, and even by law. But it's a struggle. Because these people know that in our languages here, they say, akawakeiva, akawakabi, kakorachi, akawakabi, kabunyambo. Meaning that a stealing dog pays with its back. When you find a dog stealing food, you beat it. So a thief must be beaten, a suspect must be beaten. Because it is being punished for stealing. But we are trying to say, so you beat him as a punishment. But we are telling this policeman, please, your job is not to punish. Your job is simply arrest and charge. The one to punish is another one. It's not you. It's a struggle to make these people see that your job is simply to arrest, to investigate. The job of punishing will be done by somebody else. It's a struggle. It's a struggle. It must be done. It is in the law, it is very clear, it is in the Constitution, separation of powers, but for them, it doesn't seem in their system. Now, then you come to Octatia. Octatia, traditionally, it was permissible to beat a suspect until he admits. You tell us, who did this? You know? Now, we are telling them that this is not necessary. Even if, because for them they think that if he doesn't admit, the case will be weak in the court. So it's better you beat him so that he admits, and then the case is strong. But this concept, and it is there in the traditional society, it is there the issue of circumstantial evidence. It is there but a little bit weak. It is there. For instance, there is a proverb which says, meaning that, how is it that when my sheep disappeared, the hyena defecated feces with the hair of sheep in it? That means the hyena is the one which ate my sheep. But it's not very strong. So they still have, so it's a struggle. So therefore, you should understand that we combine legislation with the sensitization and culture change of these groups. Thank you so much. I would have stayed longer to share more with you, but I thank you so much. Thank you for coming. And the more you read, I think the easier it is to get solutions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Let us give a round of applause. Different tribes, one people. We now stand up to sing the anthems in reverse order as we bring an end to the opening ceremony. Anthems, please. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. We thank you so much for this opening ceremony. We have come to the end, and I've been advised, Your Excellency, you've allowed us to take 3 photographs with a few people to keep our memory for this. So the first is His Excellency and the front row. I request the front row to quickly move to take the photographs. Next will be His Excellency with the heads of the delegations. My lords, I already read out your names. Please prepare quickly to come. Have your masks on and keep social distance as you come for the photograph. And the last photograph will be His Excellency and a few representatives of the Uganda chapter. And those representatives, we have the President, Lord Wolayo, Justice Alviza, Justice Eva Luswata, Justice Elizabeth Alviza, Justice Olive Kazarwe, Justice Susan Abinyo. As I call your name, please make your way here. Follow the gentleman so that you take the photo. So the next one is the heads of delegation. I expect to see the head from Kenya, Lady Justice Agnes, Tanzania, Honorable Dimelo, South Africa, Justice Audrey, Ghana, Lady Justice Owusu, Zambia, Honorable Chisangwa, Nigeria, Justice Aisitu. I expect those members to take the photo, and then lastly the Ugandan chapter of the members that I have called out. Yes, plus Ethiopia, all the heads of delegation, please, it's your turn. Go and catch a moment with His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. The last is by the Ugandan chapter. The names that I called out are representing the rest. So the Ugandan chapter of the members I called out are joining that photo. And then after we shall have other photos that I will call out. Please allow me to take a moment in that photograph. Thank you. So next, we are having photographs with the Chief Justices after they have seen off His Excellency with all the chapters. In the beginning, I said 5 members per chapter. We are keeping social distance. We are in the days that are not safe. So I'll be calling upon the different chapters, the development partners, to join in these photographs. So the next photographs will be taking place on the red carpet, and protocol team